this quick or sped up miso ramen is simple to make and looks amazing. Before I go into the full cook, I really want to pre-blanch my pork bones and sort of fatty meat and my kombu and dried shiitake mushrooms, which usually I would soak before cooking a ramen sort of soup like this. So I'm going to get as many bones into the pressure cooker as possible, along with my pork shoulder, which I'm keeping in one big joint. In fact, I'm going to get that in there first, just to make sure it can fit, and then fill the rest up with my pork bones. Now I'm also going to, at this stage, put my shiitake mushrooms in. They're dry. I haven't soaked them at all because this is going to do all the work for me. And then a couple of sheets of kombu into that liquid before I close it up. So what you find is your pressure cooker, even if you've set it to say 5-minute cook or a 10-minute cook or a 30-minute cook, it will have a preheating sort of time beforehand before it starts the timer. And what I want is for the meat to sort of bubble away for at least 5 minutes before I remove that water and start the whole process again. Now, standard sort of miso ramen might take a day at least, if not 2 to 3 days. But this, we're doing in a couple of stages. I'm going to do the sort of base stock, which is most of what's in the pressure cooker already, and then just with some simple spring onion, a bit of ginger and garlic. Keep everything, including the stalks in there, why not? You can just do sort of rough slices of your ginger. The garlic, I've taken sort of the outer layer of skin off, but the rest, I'm just going to leave in because I'm going to sieve this soup through and just take out the bits that I need later on anyway. Garlic, ginger, spring onion, main base of many Asian cuisines, but it really works with this Japanese soup. Now I'm going to keep this miso ramen super easy. All I'm doing is serving this with some soy marinated eggs. The eggs first, I get them to room temperature if they're not already, and then place them into boiling hot water for about 6.5 minutes for that lovely soft yolk. Peel them. Once they're peeled, we're going to get your marinade into a bag. My suggestion is to get a bowl and get your bag around the bowl before you put the marinade in. We've got some mirin, some dark soy sauce to really colour the outside of the egg, a little bit of light soy sauce, and some water, just so that the sauce can all sort of wrap around the eggs. Tie it up nicely, pop that in the fridge until you're ready. So this is at its 5-minute cook. I've released the pressure, and just once all the steam has come out, then you can open it up. And you can see why I do this, because you can see all this sort of scum. And ideally, you want to wash all that out before you then start the process again and put it on a longer pressure cook. Next step, I've got everything back in here with cold water again. I've got my ginger, garlic, and spring onion, along with all the ends and everything that I can just sort of press into that cold water. We'll get the lid back on. Make sure that's nice and tight. And then I'm going to put this on a high pressure function for a 30-minute cook. And that will come up to temperature again and then cook that for 30 minutes once it's been preheated. Next up is this Miso Tare, which is very, very easy. I've got some Japanese soy, some sake, sugar. I've got my miso paste in here. You can use a white or red miso paste, up to you. I'm going to sort of melt that miso paste into the rest of the liquid on a medium heat. You can add your finely chopped ginger and garlic to that tare. And this sort of bubbling just releases the sort of essence or oils of the ginger and garlic, but it doesn't sort of overcook it. I want this to be quite mild and mellow and kind of sit into the soup for the second 30-minute cook. The reason why I'm doing it in 2 30-minute cycles is I just want that extra level of flavour. Once your tare looks like it's kind of bubbling all the way through and kind of wants to lift itself out of the pan, that is when you're ready to take that off and just wait to add this to your soup later on. So once the initial stock is cooking, I'm gonna make a quick Japanese chili oil. I've got my togarashi here, which is basically a mixture of chili powder, Japanese chili powder, sesame seeds, a little bit of ginger powder in there as well. I'm gonna heat up some oil. You don't want the chili powder to burn, so I want the oil to be hot enough to kind of sizzle that sort of mix, that chili powder mix there, along with a little bit of brown sugar. As soon as your oil or pan starts to smoke a little, you want to take it off the heat and then pour that carefully over the top. And then lastly, I'm going to pour some mirin into there whilst it's still hot. And you'll get this nice sort of almost sweet, spicy chili oil with that nutty flavour from the sesame seeds in the togarashi. The last thing I'm going to add to that is a bit more Japanese soy. So it's got a nice balance of sweet, spicy, salty. My base stock has had about 30 minutes and it just smells so intensely savoury already just from that 30-minute cook. So I'm going to put this in for another 30 minutes on the pressure cook, get all that tare into there. Just take this as the seasoning round. Give that a little mix around. Straight back on, same function. Pressure cook on a high pressure, 30 minutes. Press start and off you go. Now, one of the things that I think in the old days with old style pressure cookers people might be a bit scared of was having to sort of let go of that steam and that pressured steam. This is quite easy because it's just a sort of flick the switch type of vent, and then it just allows all that pressure to push out any excess steam. Of course, it is still hot steam, so stand a little bit back whilst it's releasing. So you want to keep the vent open until all the steam has finished venting, and this little valve, this metal valve, will be fully flush to the rest of the machine. So I'm using instant ramen noodles. I'm keeping this nice and easy. The moment of truth. After an hour of cooking this amazing soup, look at the colour of that with all that miso tare sort of really infiltrated the stock. I'm going to take a good sort of shredding of my pork shoulder there. And then my eggs. Look at that depth of colour. And then your stock or your soup, your miso, and my chili oil just drizzled over the top into the soup. As I say, most of the work has been done by this awesome pressure cooker over here, which has multiple functions if you want to steam rice or just steam your food, saute your food, whatever you want. But I've primarily, I've only used the pressure cooker function here to show you how it can speed up a really long, traditional cooking process. Oh, honestly, without even trying the meat or the egg, oh, wow. I'm just gonna keep eating. Let us know in the comments below what dish makes you do this. And if you haven't found it yet, make this dish and tell everyone else out there how good it is. That is heaven.